gotta keep it on target. Much better. Much better. The first burst was hilariously bad, and the second one was in like a 2-inch spread. Did really well with it.
Well, hello there. I've heard from a few different people, some I like and some I don't, as some of you may remember, about $1,000 rifle. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, coming to my channel, most people know that I'm a snob. I have expensive taste when it comes to firearms, and I often do things backwards. By that I mean I buy really expensive stuff and then I work my way down to cheaper things. And as time goes on and budget crunches happen, $1,000 rifle may become less and less of a reality. And there are a lot of people that rush to purchase something versus looking at all of their options. I'm not gonna lie to you, I find it disturbing that people jump to the manufacturer that helped craft the assault weapons ban with the Clinton administration, but I get it, I guess, because it's functional enough that an argument can be made. And quite frankly, there's a lot of YouTubers and Instagram hoes that are pushing this manufacturer's rifle. And of course, we're discussing the M&P Sport. However, friends, even though this was a hobby rifle for me, I built it for $1,000. It was actually a little less, I think it was like $980. But I'm gonna take you through what I think is a better option and a rifle that every American should have, that is a 20-inch AR-15. But you can also build other AR-15s with quality parts for at or around $1,000 and get different barrel lengths with mid-length gas systems. So first we're gonna cover, if you build it, you can do it.
If you build it,
you can do it!
I've created a cursed thing. But if you build it, you can do it and do it better. So in front of you is a BCM, which, as some of you know from my 16-inch video, BCM is in my entry-level tier. It shares the likes with Aero Precision and FN to do the job you need it to do, where you could pick it up and say, ah, at least this will work. And I have heard about some issues with BCM, but I've never experienced them, nor have my friends that all have BCMs. I'm not saying the issues aren't happening, but I'll tell you, a BCM is a much better place to start than a Smith and Wesson M&P Sport. So what do I mean by
if you build it,
You can do it!
and do it better? I'm terrible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a 20-inch AR-15 with a rifle-length gas system that's going to give you superior velocity, superior ballistic performance, and it's a gun you can actually employ in a serious scenario at multiple engagement distances. It's also a platform that you can continue to use and is a remarkably soft and flat shooter. It also comes with the front A-post, and these carry handles are very cheap. So I understand that I have a CAC Raz rail on here and a broomstick, as well as a Surefire 640 dual fuel. But you can get MOE handguards and come in very, very price conscious and still hang lights and stuff off of it. I also have a Carnicon lower, which at the time didn't cost me a whole lot, but we all understand quality stripped lowers are now getting more expensive. You can get a arguable quality PSA lower and come in under budget, but I recommend getting something that is of good quality. $125 is not unreasonable to spend on a lower receiver, a stripped lower receiver, and you can get the same BCM parts kit that I have in there for $100 to $120. And then you get your standard buttstock. This is UTG. This is before I knew about Chinesium. Don't murder me.
Flat on his face, he looked up at me. His little Chinese eyes burned right into my stomach, deep into my soul. He said something to me in Chinese, like, "What sounds like some cartoon shit," but I understood it to be a question that he was asking me. And I don't have to know how to speak Chinese to know what that question was. Why, Black Dynamite? Why?
To be real with you, I didn't even know that UTG was a Chinese company. But you get this for cheap, you throw it together, and you have a solid rifle. You can even spend $25 and get the Super 42 braided spring, or you could spend 20 bucks and get a Sprinko spring. That way you're not getting dominated by spring twang. And then you get a standard charging handle with a BCM bolt carrier group, and you're off to the races. And with this upper, I spent, it was like $470, and this was $189, and this was whatever it was, 70 bucks. So ultimately, I put this rifle together for $980. And if I can do it, you can do it. With building, I understand that not everybody's as confident in their ability to assemble things, and there are some people that really just want to buy something. And to that I say, do that with your upper. The lower you can do by yourself with basic hand tools, and it's very, very simple. You just have to make sure certain things go certain ways on the inside. And you will launch detents across the room, and there will be things that you need to look out for, but you can do it, I promise. And you end up with a much more quality piece. Even with BCM parts, this trigger is much better than a standard mil-spec trigger. And as it wears in, it gets really smooth. It's still about 6 pounds-ish, but that's better than some of the mil-spec triggers because they'll come in all wonky and stuff, and then other companies just don't spend a lot of time in it because they expect you to splurge on a different trigger. And again, this is a $100 parts kit that I've beaten the hell out of, and it's been fine. And you get this quality BCM pistol grip, which most people switch to anyway, and is much more comfortable. And again, if you build it, you can choose quality parts. The Ballistic Advantage Two Brothers build that I have is also a $1,000 rifle. And it has a Geisley rail, a Ballistic Advantage Hansen profile barrel, and I got all of it on sale. So there's really nothing to worry about. And it has a Landtac BCG that I bought off a friend. And you don't have to splurge on stuff like that. You can literally just drop in their bolt carrier group, or you can get a BCM or something like that and go from there. So you have options. Don't jump down this road of compromise and sadness, and you don't have to get something that's a 16-inch barrel with a carbine gas system from a company that helped craft an assault weapons ban with Bill Clinton. Oh, the link's in the description, by the way, for those of you that don't know. The other thing that's nice is you're not limited to a carbine length gas system. You can get all sorts of stuff from all sorts of companies that comes in at budget. And you can get a mid-length or a rifle length gas system. Now, I do encourage you to be careful and not select a company that has piss poor parts. There's a lot of guys that just want things to work, and they'll go to, let's say, Delton, and they just really want that triangle emblem to work, and they'll buy a dissipator that doesn't run, or X, Y, and Z, and they spend more time messing with it than they do just doing a little bit of research and finding something that works. There are plenty of good barrel manufacturers out there. I personally don't have experience with Roscoe, but some guys really like their Roscoes. You have Ballistic Advantage, you have Aero Precision. There's a lot of good companies out there that you can buy barrels. Even Daniel Defense barrels don't necessarily always break the bank based on what you're purchasing. So you can get quality parts and put it together yourself. If you're capable of doing the upper, then you can put all the parts together and get exactly what you want out of the gate without any rework. Change the rail, change the trigger, change XYZ on the gun. So instead of reinvesting all that extra money, you can build it from the parts that you want from the get-go. And again, avoid doing business with a company that helped craft an assault weapons ban. And you're also not limited to shitty non-mil spec parts and materials. And the reason that a lot of guys prefer BCM stuff is you get a full length tail on your bolt carrier. You're not doing the short tail that you're going to get in your Smith and Wesson Sport or some of these other guns, because they have quality parts. I mean, it's not the top tier quality, but it's magnetic particle inspected and high pressure tested, and it's a full auto bolt carrier. So it's going to have stability while it's going through the cycle of operations, and you're not really getting carrier tilt anymore so long as you get a quality manufacturer's lower, but it maintains stability through the cycle of operations, which is important. And again, it's quality carpenter steel as it's supposed to be, and it comes with the magnetic particle inspected and high pressure testing that I really think you should have as a standard. And some guys are going to say, well, I'm just going to buy the M&P Sport and then I'm going to get a BCM BCG and just drop it in there. All right, bud, but that's extra money you don't need to spend. You can just build it right the first time or buy something else. And lastly, even though for me this is just a hobby build, it's not something that I grab in a serious situation or something that I would realistically employ in a lot of situations for home defense or anything like that, it is still a serious use rifle, and you can use this to do things. And if your situation is different from mine, where you're not smack dab in a massive city, you're instead out in the country or everything's open area or flat or something like that, this is going to dominate, and this is what you should have in the first place. So you can spend not a lot of money and get something super quality that you can grow and develop with, and then build other stuff. And you don't have to be ashamed about having a 20-inch rifle, and they're really cost effective. And again, you're getting better velocity and better terminal ballistics than your average rifle build. But the moral of the story is,
If you build it,
You can do it!
that's the last time, I promise. But the moral of the story is, you don't have to go buy the M&P Sport or some other $1,000 option. You can build it, and if you know someone that knows how to put them together, you can buy the parts and have them put it together. Or, you know, maybe if you build a good relationship like I have in my local gun shop, they'll put it together for you and not charge you a whole bunch. I'm not going to say it's easy, and I'm not going to say it's hard. It's in the middle area, the moderate level difficulty, to come in at or slightly under $1,000 with a quality rifle. And yes, I know that I'm sitting here with a CAC rail and a CAC vertical foregrip, sitting here talking about how this rifle's under $1,000, and everyone in the comments like, no, it was a free rail, okay, so it doesn't count. But just add the Magpul price in there and you're fine, or some other cheap ass rail for something with a front sight post. But again, the moral of the story is you can do just fine and stay under budget, especially with a lower. You get a $125 lower with this BCM kit, and you're at 2 something. You throw a stock in there, maybe $300, maybe. A lower, if you're just doing a basic lower that's not gonna, have a Geisley trigger in it and all the bells and whistles and stuff, you can really just come in there at a really competitive price, and then you have more money to spend on your upper. And you can fine tune it with springs that you should be using anyway, which is I highly recommend the Sprinko springs or the Geisley Super 42 setup. You can do either and win. So this rifle is a rifle everyone should have. I think every American with AR-15s should have an M16A4 or some sort of 20-inch AR at their disposal. I really like BCM, but Aero makes one, and other companies make them, and they're not that expensive. So if you want a rifle that's under $1,000 that you can vibe check people with, that you can throw any ammunition in it because it has a 1 in 7 twist and it's going to dominate. You can throw 77, 75, 69 grain, 62 grain, 62 grain. Shit, 64 grain soft points are going to be screaming out of there. Or 55 grain you can throw in there and it's going to dominate. Then you can do it. And if you want to build a 16-inch rifle like I did with a Hansen barrel, just wait for a Black Friday sale. You can clean house. I have not paid full price for almost anything I have. Just wait for sales. Don't jump down the cheap road when you can get something nice, or build it yourself. I want to use it again so bad, but I promised I wouldn't. But you can build it yourself and do well, and have a rifle that you can look at and be like, yeah, I put that together. Or, yeah, it was my first rifle. It's a cheaper option, but man, it still slaps, Great. Do it up. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.